Good morning, everyone. I had some issues with the sound there, but we got it working. All right, we're just gonna wait for some more people to join in, and then we will get started. Good morning, Christian. Good morning, Angelo. Good to have you join us. Hopefully you guys have already printed the worksheet. I posted it late this morning. I'm sorry for that. But yes, we are going to be going our review today. We got 6 people watching so far. That's a very little for a Friday. So hopefully we get a couple more people in. Still only have 7. I'm still looking at the screen here, trying to see. We'll wait one more minute, and if no one shows, then we'll just get started. And that will be that. So the worksheet you should have open in front of you is this one here. So I'm not going to make today's lesson very long. That's not the right one. Let's take out. Sadly, no, I cannot. I wish I could stay and continue to teach you guys, but sadly, that's not how the world works. So we follow the rules of the world, and the rules of the world has told me that I must leave after today. So it is what it is. Okay. So let's talk about this stuff here. So quadratic expression. So this is the last lesson of Unit 4. There will be no quiz or test for Unit 4 because the stuff you're learning here now is going to be used in Unit 5. So it's kind of like a continuation into Unit 5. Okay? So let's talk about Unit 4 here. Let's talk about Unit 4. So let's just go through 1 or 2 questions from each thing here. So like let's do 1 question from question 1, 2 questions from question 2, 2 questions from question 3, so on and so forth until we finish the page, and that's it. Hopefully that should be enough for today. I'll post answers to this. So there's going to be answers to this worksheet on Google Classroom by like tomorrow or something like that. Okay? So 1A, expand and simplify the following. So remember that we're using FOIL. FOIL is the method we're doing here. Right? First, outside, inside, last. So the first ones are x times x, which is x squared. Outside, x times 6, 6x. 3 times x for inside, 3x. And then last, 3 times 6 is 18. And so there we have it. So x squared plus 6x plus 3x plus 18. That gives me x squared. We combine the middle, which is 9x. And then plus 18. Then there we have it. So expanding this shouldn't be too bad. Let's go to this one back here. First, 4x times 3x. So 4 times 3 is 12. X times x is x squared. Then 4x times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And then the x comes down. Negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. And then negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And so there we have it so far. And then we combine our like terms. So 12x squared stays. 8x minus 9x gives me negative 1x or negative x. And then minus 6. And so there we have 12x squared minus x minus 6. So there we have question 1. Okay, so this was expanding binomials. We did this at the very beginning. So let's move on to the second thing that we learned, which was common factoring. So with common factoring here, we were talking about how we're looking for some hints were like, if you're looking at numbers, the smallest number of the group is where you're going to be looking for the factors, because it can't have anything bigger than that. So for example here, between 7x plus 21, we're looking at 7 and thinking that's a smaller number. What are the factors of 7? And so the factors of 7 are 1 and 7, and we don't use 1. So we're just going to take out a 7, because that's all, everything is divisible by 7. So we're going to pull out a 7, divide everything by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1, so we're left with x. 21 divided by 7 is positive 3. And there we go. There's our answer for the first one here. Then our next one, 2b. We have here, well, the number is 1 and 4, so we can't take out a 1. We're not factoring a number. But we're looking here and we're seeing, oh, there's x cubed and x squared. So the variables, everything has a variable, so we can take out an x. But how much x's do we take out? We take out the smallest exponent. So for us, it's x squared. So we're pulling out an x squared. And what you do, if you remember, is to subtract the two exponents. So 3 minus 2 is 1, so we're left with 1x. And then on the right side, 2 minus 2 is 0, which means we're only left with the minus 4. And there we have it factored out. Okay? So this was common factoring, and you follow that process in the future, right? So we follow that process. The next question, question 3. Okay. Trinomial method. So this was the double brackets, and we're doing the factoring. So what multiplies to the third number and adds to the second? So we can say b is 11 and c is 24, because we know that it's written in terms of ax squared plus bx plus c, right? And b is the middle number, c is the last number. So, and I gave you those 4 tips, right? So the last number is positive and the middle number is positive, which means the 2 pairs of numbers we're looking for are also positive. So what are 2 numbers that multiply to 24 that add to 11? So it's definitely not 1 and 24. It's definitely not 2 and 12, right? What else is there? We have 3 and 8 is the next one. So 3 and 8. Yes, 3 plus 8 makes 11. So we know that the 2 numbers are 3 and 8, and they both have to be positive. And there we have it. X plus 3, x plus 8. Let's go through the next one here. X squared minus 8x plus 16. Okay. So here we have b is negative 8 and c is 16. So we have negative 8 and 16. Using the advice I gave you, if the middle number is negative and the last number is positive, that means both numbers have to be negative. So we learned that. So we know both numbers are negative, and all we have to think about is what multiplies to 16 but adds to 8. And so we're thinking of numbers. 1 and 16 doesn't work. 2 and 8 doesn't work. There's nothing for 3. So 4 times 4 is 16. Perfect. 4 plus 4 is 8. And there we have it. We have, whoops, I said 4 and I'm writing 8. 4 and 4. And so we have x minus 4, x minus 4. And there we have it. Okay. So that is our perfect thing there. Okay. Now, if you realize that that was a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, then you can go straight into the perfect square trinomial. Let's give you these two on your own. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to solve these 2 factors, and I'll give you the answers. I'll put 3 minutes on the clock now. Okay, so 3 minutes, figure out the answers. All right, time's up. The answers you should have gotten here are x minus 1, x minus 5 for the first one. And then for D, it should be x. Your first answer is correct, Christian. The second answer is not correct. Be careful with the second one. It should be x minus 5, x plus 2. And I think you misinputted maybe the 5 instead. Yeah, good. So it should be x minus 5, x plus 2. Very good. Okay? Perfect. So that's how you factor using the trinomial method, and you're going to be coming back to this a lot. So this is the basic skill that you need to know for Unit 5 when Miss Lifshitz starts teaching you next Monday. All right. Next, we talked about difference of squares, right? And this was the last thing we talked about yesterday, which was a squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b, a minus b. So we talked about this method here. So if you can quickly tell, oh, hey, that's a perfect square, that's a perfect square, we can immediately go and write down our factors. Done. And that's it. So like looking at here, this one's tricky, but before you even do anything, we always common factor first. So we're going to divide everything by 3, which gives me this, and that is a perfect square. And so we can write out like that. So I want you to try these on your own. Like, I don't want to guide you through them because this is just you understanding the practice. Hey, do I know how to square root these perfect squares, and do I know how to figure that out? So I want you to try these on your own free time, but you have 2 examples here. Always remember, if you can common factor, please common factor first before you solve anything. Okay, so question 5. Now this is all practice for you. You need to check whether it's common factoring, difference of squares, or trinomial method. So I'm just gonna leave this by on your own. Okay, all of these. Actually, let's do okay. Question 5 and 6 are all kind of something you can solve for using, like, it just wants you to factor it. So let's solve these 2. We're gonna do number 7. Yes, that'll be our last question. Can you pick 2 questions from question 5? Type 2 letters from question 5, and we'll do them right now on factoring. Okay. So question 5, 2 letters. C and D, perfect. Anyone else? Any other suggestions? So we have, everyone wants C and D, C and D. Okay. So 5C and 5D. We'll do these 2. So let's do 5C first, because everyone seemed to agree on C. So for this one here, okay, we can see, oh, that's subtraction, which means we're gonna go for difference of squares. That's a perfect square. That's a perfect square. So we know for sure, if that's a perfect square, square root of 144 is 12. Square root of 4 is 2. And so our factors must be 12 plus 2x and 12 minus 2x. Okay, so that's C. That's difference of squares, so this is DOS. Okay. For D here, first we check common factor. Is there a common factor? No, there's no common factor. Okay. Next, we see what C is. So B and C are, B is -2 and C is -48. Okay. And the tip I told you is that if the middle number is negative and the last number is negative, then the bigger number of the 2 pairs is negative. Right? That's what I told you before. Another hint you can kind of see is that, oh, look, the number in the middle is 2, which means the difference between the 2 numbers shouldn't be too big either. So it's not going to be 1 and 48. It's not going to be 2 and 24, right? It's not going to be 4 and 4 and 12, right? It's not going to be that. So let's keep going. Let's go, we have 6 and 8. That seems like the right one. Which is the bigger number? 8, which means 8 gets the negative and 6 gets the positive. And there we have it, right? That process of elimination that I went, hey, we know the bigger number has to be negative, smaller number has to be positive. So we know it's a minus plus. And then we go through 1 and 48, don't add to 2. 2 and 24, don't add to 2. 4 and 12, don't add to 2. 5 doesn't work. 6 multiplied by 8 adds to 2 and multiplies to 48, right? And so we can do that, right? 8 minus 6 is 2, so we know how that works. Okay, so that's the process here. So you have all the empty spots here for you to solve. Now this one is weird. It says solve the following by factoring. We didn't do that concept, so you can just cross out solve and just factor everything here. Just factor everything. Get practice with the factoring. You'll learn how to solve it later. So let's go through this last question and we'll end our lesson here today. Farmer's field has the following area. Find the expressions for the dimensions of the field by factoring. So it tells us to factor this. So we have x squared minus 4x minus 5. So we need to factor this thing here. So we know that b is negative 4, c is negative 5. Using the hints I gave you, it tells us that the first number is negative and it's the bigger number, and the second number is positive. 5 only has 2 factors. 5 is 1 and 5. And 5 is the bigger number, so 5 and 1. There. X minus 5, x plus 1. And there we have our factors. We're not done just yet. It asks us for the dimensions. We should already know. If this is area, and area is this times that, we should also remember that the area is length times width, which means one of this is length and one of this is width. And this would be the bigger one, so we can say that, oh, length is x plus 1 and the width is x minus 5, because this is smaller because it's subtracting. So look here. You notice that this and this look very familiar. It's two things multiplying to each other, which means each thing must match. So I'm saying x plus 1 is length because that's longer, and w is x minus 5 with the width. Once we have that down, it's just saying find the length and width if x equals 12. So length is equal to x plus 1, so we can just go 12 plus 1, so length is 13. And for the width, we know it's x minus 5, so 12 minus 5. So we know that that is 7. And there we have it. Okay? So that's the process here. All right. And guess what? That's your last lesson with me and for the day. I know it felt like a little fast, but it's because, once again, it's a review. You've done this before. Really, this review package was meant for you to do on your own, and you can ask me questions, but I thought, hey, let's just take the class, let's just go through all the concepts together real quick, and you can have the weekend to do it on your own. So this is homework. This is my last homework I leave for you before I disappear from your class. Okay? So quick announcements. Number 1, once again, this is my last class with you. So do not expect me to come back. If anything, I'll come back to answer like a couple questions, and that's it. I'm not teaching your class anymore. It will be Miss Lifshitz starting Monday, and you will be starting Unit 5. Announcement number 2, the schedule that we have for our class does not change. You're going to have class Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday will be office hours. Thursday, Friday is going to be classes again. Okay? Once again, I told you guys at the beginning of the year, I am not your permanent teacher. I told you that I'm a substitute, and I'm gonna be here as long as I will be until the actual teacher comes back, and the actual teacher was Miss Lifshitz, and she is now back. And so I need to give my class to her because it's technically her class. And so she's getting her class back, which is you guys. Okay? So, are there any other final questions? Otherwise, That's it, guys. I will miss you guys too. I really wished I could see your faces before I could say goodbye, like in person, but can't do that because Rona is terrible. No problem. It was my pleasure teaching you guys. You guys were really fun classes, both the morning and the afternoon class. Like I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys at least were able to enjoy math or endure it a little better with me teaching it. But now I put it in Miss Lifshit's capable hands, and she will take very good care of you. She's very nice, and I'm sure you will enjoy working with her. Okay? So take care, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you when I see you. Peace out.